How long can a California tax audit really last? The FTB, EDD, and the CDTFA timelines explain. Understand what controls the clock on your California tax audit. If your California tax audit has been dragging on for months or even years, you're not imagining things. Audits in California don't follow a fixed schedule. In general, we can talk about two different clocks. Practical clock, which measures how long the auditor takes, and the legal clock, called the assessment statute of limitation. This defines how long an agency can assess additional tax for the tax years that are at issue. In this video, I'll explain how long California audits really last, what factors extend or shorten them, and when you should start getting concerned about the timeline. Hi, I'm David W. Klasing. I'm a dual licensed tax attorney and CPA. I've represented thousands of California taxpayers and businesses over my nearly 30-year career. I'm routinely facing audits from the FTB, EDD, and the CDTFA. Listen, each agency has its own rules, its own timeline, and its own ways of keeping a file open. Sometimes it feels like indefinitely. Knowing how to manage these two clocks I mentioned can be the key to controlling your California tax audit, your stress, and your financial exposure. Let's start with the basics. Every California audit has two timelines. First, the practical timeline, how long it takes the auditor to gather records, ask questions, and issue their findings. This limits how long the agency can practically assess additional tax. The practical clock depends on your cooperation, your records quality, your file completeness, and case complexity. The legal clock depends on the statute of limitations, which is basically usually a 4-year for income tax assessments, but not always. For the Franchise Tax Board, most audits run anywhere from a few months to over a year. Complex issues like residency, pass-through entity, multi-state income, or large loss carryovers can push that even out longer. Legally, the FTB must issue a notice of proposed assessments within 4 years after you file your return. But exceptions can extend that longer, like omitting 25% or more of gross income. That adds 2 more for a total of 6 years statute. Abusive tax avoidance transaction carry an extended statute. Fraud or non-filing removes any time limits in their entirety. If your federal income changes, you must report it to the FTB within 6 months of those changes. Otherwise, California can and will assess those items along with additional penalties and interest. You can expect your FTB audit to include an initial contact letter, an information document request, and possible interviews and follow-ups. Once the auditor proposes adjustments, you'll receive a Notice of Proposed Assessment, an NPA. At that point, you have 60 days to file a protest. If the FTB issues a Notice of Action after that protest, you get 30 days to appeal to the Office of Tax Appeals. Paying part or all of the balance early can stop interest on that portion. This is a potential valuable move during a long-running audit and even longer appeal. EDD worker status audits focus on whether your 1099 contractors should have been classified as employees. These audits rarely have a fixed duration because the EDD works quarter by quarter, starting with a test year and expanding if they find misclassified workers. Delays happen when the EDD has to contact workers directly, review payroll processors' records, or apply sampling methods when records are incomplete. If a notice of assessment is issued, you have 30 days to file a petition for reassessment with the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. That petition preserves your rights and opens access to the EDD settlement program, but it can also extend the overall case timeline. The California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, the CDTFA, typically audits by reporting cycle. The legal assessment statute is 3 years after the last day of the month following the reporting period, or 3 years after you filed, whichever is later. But if you never filed a return, the CDTFA can assess within 8 years, and fraud removes any protection entirely from the statute. The CDTFA often asks taxpayers to sign statute waivers that extends the audit period. Waivers are common in complex audits, but they also lengthen the time the tax year issue stays open. So listen, always negotiate scope and duration of any statute extension. Here's what really affects how long your California tax audit lasts. how organized your responses are, whether your records directly tie to your tax filing, whether federal tax law changes are in play, whether the agency has staffing or backlog issues, whether you've signed a statute extension agreement. Even simple California tax audits can stretch when responses are piecemeal or when third-party verification is required. The key is to stay ahead of the process, give auditors what they need, when they need it, but never more than what's required. If your California audit is drifting or feels stuck, you don't have to wait passively. A well-organized representative can confirm the statute posture by year and issue. They can map deadlines and audit milestones. They can push for closure within the legal limits. They can negotiate the terms of any extension requests. Our goals here are simple. End the audit before it overruns both your patience and your budget. At the tax law offices of David W. Klasing, we manage both the numbers and the calendar. From the start, we file your power of attorney, we take over communications, and we deliver examiner grade schedules that reconcile your books, your bank records, and your merchant data. We also compute interest daily. We advise on targeted remittances to stop the run of interest, and evaluate one-time penalty abatement where the facts support relief. If the audit is already delayed, we stabilize the file, restore momentum, and keep the agency accountable to its own timeline. If your FTB, EDD, or CDTFA audit feels endless, it might already be drifting off track. Don't wait until the statute runs out against your favor. Call the tax law offices of David W. Klasing at 800-681-1295 or visit klasingassociates.com to schedule a reduced rate initial consultation today. We'll get your audit back on schedule, we'll protect your rights, and we'll keep the calendar working for you, not against you.